Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
The friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. So, yesterday, A Complete Unknown came out in the theaters. And in honor of that, I got a story to tell. Back from the days when I used to travel to conventions with Tone Rodriguez. We'd drive 24 hours straight and show up at a convention like Wizard World Dallas or Emerald City Con or stuff like that. And then we'd do the whole show and then we'd drive 24 hours straight back or whatever till we got home. And in that time, he and I would become rather short and sarcastic with each other. We became very entertaining for the people around us, but we were very snippy and short and just rude to each other. And like I said, it a lot of people found it entertaining. So much so that one gentleman decided to write us into the episode of Dexter. That's the origin of how I ended up a dead body on Dexter. Was the guy had seen Tone and I when we had gotten back from a Dallas run, like the next day, and thought these two are going to kill each other and I need to put it on film. And that's how we ended up in the second season of Dexter. But one of the things that I would do when Tone and I got to that point where we were being very snippy and short with each other or trying to annoy each other is we always listened to music on the radio or books on CD at that point, but mainly music on the radio. And I have an ability that I can pretty much take any song and make it sound like Bob Dylan. Now, I don't think I'm the only one who can do this because it's not that hard to do. But a song would come on the radio and, and then I would start doing the voice and I would start singing and talking. And what's funny is it's actually very similar to my Arlo Guthrie voice for Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. But Dylan's a little bit different. He's a little more nasal and a little different cadence. It's stuff like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Yeah, and I used to just drive Tone nuts with that. So I thought today, with the movie coming out yesterday, I should do the entire show in my Bob Dylan voice, just talking like this. All right, the top movie of this year is going to be. And then JD told me he would stab himself in the ear with a pencil if I did that. So we won't be doing that, but we will be talking about the top shows of 2024. So we'll be right back. So what JD's talking about there is the part where Arlo Guthrie during Alice's Restaurant is being interviewed by the Army, and he's talking about how that I want to kill. I want to eat dead, but I want to eat blood and guts and gore and have veins in my teeth and eat dead, burnt bodies. I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to kill. But for me, the best test of an Arlo Guthrie thing is a 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with the circle and arrow and the paragraph on the back of each one saying what each one is. Went out the window. You know, the judge walked in. The judge's CNI dog walked in. But I'm with you on that, JD. All right. We've got some news to cover. We're going to talk about, we're not just going to do the top 10 shows because I watched a bunch of TV this year. And we should talk about as much of it as we can. Some of it good, some of it not so good, some of it I never got to watch, and some of it spectacular. So we will get to all of that. No guessing, Ed. No guessing. But I do want to hope that you all had a great holiday, had some fun. If you did, one of the gifts I got is right here. I got the script book for The Batman. So now when I wonder, hey, did they say something? I don't have to actually replay the movie. I can just go, oh, let's see. Oh, right here. Chief Bach says, you're protecting this guy, Gordon? He interfered in an active hostage situation. Colston's blood is on his hands. Maybe he's on yours. Would you say? Yeah. And by the way, I got a friend of mine who's absolutely obsessed with Con O'Neill, the guy who played Bach, and would kill me for that imitation of him. All right, so let's get into the news. We'll get that, and then we'll do our shows. So, all right, where did I put the news? Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Okay. And there's a couple news stories today that just kind of lean on delusional, in my opinion. But we're going to start with, you guys have seen the Superman trailer, right? We've all seen the Superman trailer. Well, it turns out we've all seen the Superman trailer. James Gunn, writer, director of the film, and co-head of DC Studios, put out on social media that, quote, crypto really did take us home with over 250 million views and 1 million social posts. Superman is officially the most viewed and the most talked about trailer in the history of both DC and Warner Brothers. This is because of all of you. Thank you. We're incredibly grateful and most of all, excited to share the movie with you in July. Happy holidays. And he's right. In relation to DC and Warner Brothers trailers, it's the number one. But when you look at the other trailers that, around that era, there's still some room to grow for it. It's close to 5th overall. It's the 6th one right now. And I'm sure it's passed it since I saw those numbers. But The Lion King from 2019 was at 256 million views. Spider-Man No Way Home was at 275 million views. Avengers Endgame, 289 million views. Star Wars Force Awakens was at 300 million views. And the number one movie trailer of all time, Deadpool and Wolverine at 365 million views. Now, previously, the trailer that got the most views before Superman was The Batman from 2022 at 220 million views. Let's see. Ed says, I've been reading of stuff about the Batman joining DC's universe. Please tell me that's just clickbait. That is absolutely just clickbait. There was an interview with Josh Horowitz that James Gunn did, and this is where all of this comes from, where Horowitz asked him, did you consider putting Robert Pattinson's Batman into the DCU? And the way he said it, he's like, well, of course I considered it. But, and by saying that, he's basically saying, well, yeah, you got to look at all options. But he made it clear that he wants to be able to do stuff like Elseworld stories, things that are outside of the DCU, and what Matt Reeves is doing with the Batman epic crime saga would not fit in a movie with a superdog. I look forward to seeing both of them, but they're not in the same tone. They're not in the same setup. And as soon as you introduce something like a Superman, then the effect of the Riddler blowing up the waterway, or forcing the flooding of Gotham, suddenly changes, because you've got all these superheroes that could show up, and the Flash could start rebuilding the wall, and Firestorm could turn all the flood water into oxygen and just have it float back up. I mean, there's so many ways that you could deal with a giant flood like that it doesn't make sense. The necessity and the agency of the disaster becomes zero. So, no, I don't see that happening. So, okay. We're going to go back to the new. Let's see what else we got. This is awesome. How does he still get work? Deadline is reporting the Masters of the Universe live action has added 4 new villains, including Jared Leto as Skeletor. This is something that has been rumored since September, but he also joining the cast are Sam C. Wilson as Trapjaw, Half-Thor Bjornsson as Goatman, and Kojo Ata as Triclops. I remember Triclops. He was cool. Green suit, 3 eyes. He would spin around. You would think Triclops would just have 3 eyes, one like the Doctor Strange thing, but no, he's got spinning eyes. They join a cast that includes already villain Evil Lynn, played by Alison Brie, and on the hero side, you got Nicholas Galitzine as He-Man, Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms, and Camila Mendez as Teela. This is, of course, based on the iconic Mattel franchise, and the plot it's still being kept under wraps. Travis Knight is directing from a script by Chris Butler. It's supposed to be out June 5th of 2026. So we got a ways to go on that. But, yep, they got Jared Leto as Skeletor. That always works out well. HBO series Dune Prophecy that just wrapped up on Sunday, the prequel series to Denis Villeneuve's movie franchise, is getting a second season, which is really good, because if you watch the ending, you realize it's not an ending. The series stars Emily Watson and Olivia Williams as the head of the Bene Gesserit order as it grows in power in the galaxy, but must deal with an unknown threat named Desmond Hart, played by Travis Fimmel. Yeah. Fimmel? Okay. The relationship between Hart and the two sisters is a major piece of the puzzle, and we do find out what that actual relationship is in the most recent episode, or the season finale. The second season will focus on how the sisterhood survives this conflict. Now, the prequel series takes place 10,000 years before the movies, but it still involves the same houses, Atreides, Harkonnen, Corino, and which are the center of the film. So, yes, it takes place a long time ago, but it's still pertinent to the story going on. All right, talking about the Matt Reeves Batman 2, it's taken a long time. But Reeves is known for being a very meticulous filmmaker. And he even admits that his pace is slow, but it's the only way he knows how to do it. He likens his process to being in a dark room. He says, everything you need is in a room. Now, a dark room, not as in a photo dark room, but an actual dark room. He says, everything you need is in the room, but there are no lights, and you're on your hands and knees. And when you connect with something, you go, oh, that's something. He said that he thinks of the shooting period as a hunting-gathering period. And when you're done, you rewrite again in the editing. So what does this mean for the Batman sequel? Well, he's still finishing the script and plans on shooting next year, which makes it seem like October 26th release date is still viable, but there's a couple factors to keep in mind. First, the film is supposed to be set in winter, around Christmas. You know, the first movie was set in October, Penguin takes place in between, and then winter or Christmas time for the second movie. It all takes place just within a couple months so far. Well, with the script not done yet, I don't think they're going to start shooting in the next couple months. It means it'll be spring, summer, fall. So does that mean that they're going to wait all the way till winter of 2025 before they start shooting? And unlike Marvel movies, where Marvel knows what all the fight scenes are going to be, so they start pre-doing the visual effects of it, the way Reeves works is he films the movie and then the special effects go. So it's a 2-year process for him, for 1 year of filming and 1 year of special effects. So there's a good chance this is going to get bumped. Now, if it is done on time, I still think it's going to get bumped. I think they're going to move it back to December, since either November or December, since Clayface is now going to open in September. So September, then Batman, and October seems really close together. But, hopefully they'll get to it soon, because we're itching for this movie, aren't we, Ed? All right, let's move on to another renewed series. Max has picked up a second season of Creature Commandos, the adult animated series from DC Studios and Warner Brothers. Creature Commandos tracks a special team of incarcerated monsters recruited for missions deemed too dangerous for humans, and since Amanda Waller can't use humans for this anymore, it's written and executive produced, of course, by James Gunn. So in a way, along with Max and HBO, James Gunn renewed his own series. How nice of him. Season 1 of the series premiered on December 5th. We're going through it right now. It has the voices of Steve Agee as Economos, Maria Bakalova as Princess Ileana, Anya Chalotra from Witcher as Cersei, Zoe Chow as Nina Mazursky, Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., Sean Gunn as G.I. Robot and Weasel, David Harbour as Frankenstein, Alan Tudyk as Dr. Phosphorus, Indira Varma as the Bride, and Viola Davis, of course, as Amanda Waller. Now, just a note for those of you who are watching the show, James Gunn was asked if there would be any post-credit scenes for the series, and he says there will be one after the season finale. So keep that in mind when the season finale happens. Speaking of season finales and series finales and stuff, Andor Season 2 is coming, but we've gotten word that this is probably one of the most expensive projects that they've ever done. The 2 seasons together cost $645 million. The second season alone is costing $290.9 million. Now, just to compare that, the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker from 2019, that came at $275 million. So this season, second season, is going to cost more than the last big budget Star Wars film. Now, part of the reason why it's so expensive, of course, are all the delays. The WGA strike, the actors strike, it really pushed things back. And when you push things back, it costs more money. But yeah, now we're looking forward to the final season. It's going to be a little different than the first one. The first one, of course, was set up over a year when Cassian Andor joined the rebellion. The second one will take place in 4 years. Each roughly three episodes will be 1 year. So you'll have these story arcs. The final story arc will take place a few days before the beginning of Rogue One. And the final scene of the movie will actually be Andor going to meet the guy at the beginning of Rogue One. So this will go right up into Rogue One. So there will not be an Andor Season 3, because Andor Season 3 is Rogue One. And there's no Cassian after that. So, sorry, spoilers for an older movie. All right, now we've come to the deranged and delusional aspect of the show. This is some quotes from 2 different people. The first is by Tony, I'm going to have to try to get his name right here, Tony Vinciquerra, and he's the CEO of Sony Pictures. And he finally came out and said, yeah, Madam Web underperformed the box office. And then he said why he thought it underperformed. And see if you agree with old Tony here. He said Madam Web underperformed in the theaters because the press just crucified it. It was not a bad film, and it did great on Netflix. Okay, Tony, Madam Web is a bad film. It's a really bad film. The reason it did well on Netflix is because it's a bad film. Because so many people were talking about how bad a film it is. People watched it to see how bad it was. That's why it did well on Netflix. Because it's the train wreck everybody wants to watch. It's not because it's good. So where did he go from there? Well, he said that he also thought Kraven the Hunter underperformed for similar reasons. He says for some reason, the press decided they didn't want us making those films. The critics just destroyed them. They also did it with Venom, but the audience loved Venom and made Venom a massive hit. These are not terrible films. They were just destroyed by the critics in the press for some reason. For some reason. Okay, all right. So they asked him, do you think you need to change the focus of the movies? Maybe, the fact that there's no Spider-Man, stuff like that? He says, I do think we need to rethink it just because it's snake bitten. If we put out another one, it's going to get destroyed no matter how good or bad it is. No. Tony. Your movies suck. They do. You're hiring people that don't know how to tell a story, that don't know how to tell a hero story. It happens. Get someone else. You hired the same guys to write Madam Web that wrote Morbius. How did you not see that? They have a track record of making bad films. Why did you hire them? And Kraven, I haven't seen Kraven, so I can't really talk about it. But nobody is coming out saying Kraven's a good movie. I appreciate your dedication to your studio and to the people that work there. That is nice of you. But nobody is buying that the only reason the films aren't doing well is because the critics don't want you to make them. At this point, nobody wants you to make them. They're making Jesus cry. And then we move over to Frank Grillo. Frank Grillo, who is currently starring in Creature Commandos as Rick Flag Sr. He will also appear as Rick Flag Sr. in the new Superman movie and the Peacemaker Season 2. Well, Frank talked about having been in Marvel and DC and revealed the differences between the two. He says they're very different. Marvel's a different machine, and it's great on its own right. But the thing I love about James and Peter's DC is that it's much more contained. It's so much more personal. I really enjoy it better. I just love being part of something in the embryonic stage and being able to grow with it and watch it flourish. Grillo has talked in the past about how his Crossbones character was supposed to be in more things and then got trimmed out and stuff like that. And he's very unhappy with how his character got portrayed. So that may also be skewing some of his comments there. I don't think he's quite Tony from Sony delusional, but actually what he said is probably not that bad. But Tony from Sony, that should be what we refer to him now as. Tony from Sony, the delusional guy. That's him. All right, guys. Well, it says Sony movies gave Jesus cousins polyps. Another had a bot come on talking about Jesus cousins having polyps during a. Oh my gosh. Okay. It says I feel like the guy may well wonder why Inhumans got canceled. He might. He might have been the guy who was recording it on his old VHS tape so he could watch it later. All right, guys, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the television of 2024. Be right back.
Twitch, it's not just what happens when you have too many energy drinks anymore. Check out our content over there, too.
Sure, comic books are beautiful, but underneath, there's something more authentic and exciting. The original art. See the pencils, the lines, the shading, as if you were there in the studio watching the artist work. Getting a peek at comics' backstage is easy with the original art experience.
All right, Friday night, guys. Thank you for being here. To be doing anything, the fact that you're here means the world to me.
Nick's pieces are always value priced with your budget in mind, for the beginning collector to the veteran.
And this is gorgeous. You got Aquaman and Mira.
Join the original art experience with Nick and our friendly crew of regulars, even if it's just to enjoy the art. Fridays at 7. It's all part of the experience.
Symphonic verses, Nocturne's romance. A song of romanticized darkness, dreaming death by sleep.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons and all those things down there that we're supposed to talk about. Remember to become a member of The Experience and stick around. We've got a lot of great shows tonight. Comic Dunes is coming up later. The Sketch Up is coming up later. A original art show. We have the new FOC show tomorrow morning. We have Friday Night Live with Nancy. I don't know the status of the show of What's in the Box. I know Jen is feeling a little bit under the weather, but sounds like she still may go. She may not. So you guys should definitely tune in to find out. And then just spend the whole show offering her a lozenge. Because it's such a great word, lozenge. Lozenge. All right, guys. Let's talk television. There have been a lot of great shows this season. And some bad ones. And I've got like 33, 34 shows listed. Just going through that I know I watched. Or at least tried. Or some that I meant to try. And we're going to talk about those first. Shows that everybody seems to love. But I just didn't get to. Okay, Jen did cancel. So I know it sounded iffy in the chat, but yeah. So, all right. We got 5 series that I meant to watch. I plan to watch. I do want to watch. I just haven't got to them yet. And a couple of them are going to surprise you. And I know one is going to upset Ed. It's really going to upset Ed. So the first one, the one I really want to watch, but I'm having a hard time convincing Lisa this is a show we should watch. Because I need to entice her too, because most of my viewing is with her. And I can get her to watch a lot of stuff. She's watching What If with me. She's watching Creature Commandos. She watched Cross. She's watched all these shows. Trying to convince her to watch Shogun. It's a story set in feudal Japan. That one's a hard sell. I want to watch it. I remember watching the miniseries when I was a kid. I know it's a great book. And everybody seemed to really like this series. So, not sure when I'm going to be able to watch it, though. Want to, though. Really do. Second on the list, True Detective Night Country. Now, I loved the first season of True Detective, like a lot of people. Absolutely loved it. Okay, I thought it was fantastic. Matthew McConaughey, Alexandria Daddario, Woody Harrelson. It was just a really well done show. Time is a flat circle. Just really good stuff. Started watching season 2 with Colin Farrell, and Rick Springfield is in it as a plastic surgeon, which I'm a big Rick Springfield fan. So, but no, I couldn't get into it. I watched a couple episodes and then ended up not going back. I never did watch the version, the show with the season with Mahershala Ali. And I know Night Country is supposed to be fantastic, like going back to first season form. I just haven't had a chance. Haven't watched it. Plan to, want to. Haven't watched it yet. All right. No, he took his own advice, but he was into Human Touch. Don't try to outdo Rick Springfield references with me, JD. You'll lose. All right. Something I have not watched. I don't know why I haven't watched it, because I've watched the other 3 seasons. I haven't watched season 4 of The Boys. And it's got Jeffrey D. Morgan. Why have I not watched it? I like The Boys. It's a great series. It's a little over-violent, but when it came out, I didn't get a chance to sit down and watch it. Have not had a chance to get to it. All right. And the one that's going to upset Ed, I have not yet watched Critical Role Season 3, but I got a reason for that one. Because Lisa and I are trying to watch seasons 1 and 2 beforehand, which she has not seen. So we're a couple episodes into season 1. We found some other shows that are kind of stealing our attention right now. So, like, we're rewatching White Collar, and we're finally watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and we're watching Star Trek Lower Decks. And Strange New Worlds is freaking amazing. Love that show. I can't believe I didn't watch it before. We just had the one where Spock becomes human for an episode. I know we got the singing one coming up. We've got the Lower Decks crossover. Looking forward to that, but we're well into season 2. The final one on my list of shows that I haven't got to yet is Citadel Honey Bunny, which sounds hilarious to me just to say that out loud. Citadel, I loved when that came out. That's from the Russo brothers. It's a great spy thriller. Love the series. Stanley Tucci, Richard Madison. Love the first one. But they're doing these as kind of spin-off series that are done in the style of these foreign countries. So like Citadel Diana, which I'm going to talk about later, which I have watched, is done in the style of that country. Honey Bunny is done in the style, almost like that era or that. And Lisa hasn't watched the first Citadel, didn't seem to really like Diana, so we haven't got to Honey Bunny yet, but I'm going to, because I do like the Citadel franchise. ROP Season 2. ROP. What is ROP? Why is that not clicking? Oh, Rings of Power. Yes. I did finish Rings of Power Season 2. If I tell you any more about it right now, it would be spoilers for the rest of the show. Okay. And here are some series that I tried to watch. Gave it a couple episodes and just didn't go back to. And some of them is because like I just didn't like it, and others it's I don't plan to go back. Fallout. I watched the first episode of Fallout, and that was enough for me. Didn't like it. I am not a post-apocalyptic guy. That's not my wheelhouse. I'm not a big fan of the post-apocalyptic stuff. So it didn't really click for me. Lisa liked it well enough that she gave it 2 more episodes. And of course, I was in the room when she watched them, even though I was playing on my phone. Nothing I saw in the 3 episodes made me decide, no, I should finish this. Fallout just didn't work for me. Just wasn't clicking. Now, a series that I don't know why I haven't gone back is The Gentleman. It's an odd show. It feels very Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. It feels very Guy Ritchie. And I liked it well enough, but we watched a couple episodes and then went to sleep, and the next day we ended up watching something else. And now it's been months and we just haven't gotten back to it. You know? It's one of those that it's like, yeah, we should, and we probably will, but haven't, you know? On the other hand, Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Donald Glover. I watched the first episode and was bored. Oh my God. I always try to give at least 2 episodes to a show to really kind of, unless I really dislike it. Fallout and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, both of them, just no. Let's see. Eddie says, I used to be a fan of post-apocalyptic shows until the market got oversaturated. Now it's over. Yeah. All right. Throwing into that, and I just added this to the list, Twisted Metal. I love Anthony Mackie. I think he's great. I just could not get into this show. I don't know. There was nothing that hooked me, nothing that got my attention. I watched the first episode and went, no. Now, 2 other shows that I tried. And they're not my usual. Well, one of them is, but one isn't. The Irrational with Jesse L. Martin. I love Jesse L. Martin. The guy is great. Whether he's Detective Green on Law and Order, or if he's Joe West on The Flash, he's a great detective. He's a great singer. And I will try anything he's in. And I did. And after watching a couple episodes, I'm like, there's nothing new here. This is that same formulaic thing that there's just nothing clicks about it, which is weird because there's another show on my list that's similar, but works for me where this one didn't. This one was just like, I don't know. He really wants to, you got to have that trauma in the past and the reason you're super smart. And it didn't click for me. You know, it's like I've seen this show 1,000 times. There's nothing new here for me. So it's one of those I might just go back in to catch an episode or 2, but I'm not looking for it. I'm not checking it out. And another one I tapped out on after 1 episode because I'm not a sitcom guy. It wasn't my choice to pick this one. It was Lisa's, but it was Man on the Inside, the new Ted Danson show, which just got renewed. So I'm alone on this one. I know that. But this is very silly comedy. You know, like if you think for like 2 seconds, you could get out of the situation without it being horrendous. But no, it's like Three's Company. It's uncomfortable humor. So If only he had retired after Good Place. Yeah. He can keep doing those commercials. That's fine. Just he didn't need to do this show. Okay. 5 series that I think are worth checking out, but they're not going to pop into the top 10. Okay. One's a cooking show. The coolest cooking competition show I ever watched. And I watch a lot of them. And I don't have others on this list. This is the only one. It's called 24 and 24. It's a 24-hour cooking competition where they bring in 24 chefs. And within the first cook, they eliminated 12 of them. There's no rest. You cook. You find out if you're still around or not, and then you start cooking again. And they cook straight through for 24 hours, all these different things. It is the most endurance-based with all the other things they throw into cooking shows. It's not a matter of just being able to make good food. You have to be able to make good food while standing on one leg and using only 3 items that were found at the bottom of a grocery bag left over by a homeless person. It's that type of thing. But it just, with the fact that it's all that amount of cooking, and I mean, it is a great show. It's one of the best cooking shows I've seen in a while. The Tomb Raider Lara Croft Chronicles, the new animated series on Netflix. I watched it. I enjoyed it. They made it a little too angst-ridden, not enough about adventure, more about saving the world. So, again, it's not going to be in the top 10, but it's a good distraction. The art's good. This one falls more under a guilty pleasure category, this next one, and that's Dr. Odyssey. I don't know why we started watching it, but it's Joshua Jackson back after forever. As the ship's doctor, Don Johnson is the captain of the ship. I can't remember the actress's name, but she's one of the singers from Hamilton, the woman who actually married Hamilton. Philippa Sue, that's it. And it's just this quirky, bizarre, like Love Boat meets House type of thing. But there's a lot of drama. There's just a lot of weird stuff that goes on in this one. And you watch it, you go, nobody would actually do that. But what the hell, I'll keep watching. So I've watched all those, and I like it, but it's definitely not top 10. NCIS Origins, the young, or you could call it just young Gibbs, young Leroy Jethro Gibbs. So far, it's enjoyable. I find it weird that the guy playing Mike Franks has just recently married and is now a new father with Katie Lotz from Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. But he looks like he's from that era. It's this throwback show. They do a lot of music from that era. And if you like NCIS, you'll like this. It's this formula they have for NCIS that they just crank out. And you get Mark Harmon doing the narration, similar to how they're doing with the new Dexter series and stuff like that. So it's worth checking out. But again, not top 10. And then the other one is a show called High Potential, which, similar to The Irrational, it's a police procedural with an unlikely person consulting with the police department. But it's their cleaning lady who just happens to have a really high IQ and solves puzzles. And when she sees something wrong, and it's... I can't think of the actress's name, but she's from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. She's the wife of Rob McElhenney, and she's really good. Her character is charming enough that you want to keep watching it. Let's see. JD says, I listened to a podcast where a doctor went over all the medical nonsense in the first few episodes of Dr. Odyssey. It was great. Oh yeah, there's nothing real about that show. Even House would go, no. All right, here we go. Now we're getting into the good stuff. These are my honorable mentions. These were just edged out of the top 10. And I got 8 of them. So, and look, we have a graphic for it. Why is there 9? There's 9. Because I can't count. Oh, that's right. I added one. Okay. All right. So we're going to go these in the order I have them on here. The Acolyte. I know a lot of people didn't like The Acolyte. I did. I liked it well enough. I liked that era of the High Republic. I want to see more, and I want to see how this is going to end. We're not going to get another season, but I hope they pick up Caitlin Olsen. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Ed. From High Potentialist Caitlin Olsen. So I'm hoping they'll pick up the High Republic era and they'll continue stuff. We'll find out Darth Plagueis and all that stuff. But yeah, we're not getting another season. 8 mentions plus 1. That's it. Hey, Preston, good to see you. All right. Citadel Diana. Now, this one is a French-made version of Citadel. This continues the whole story of Citadel versus Manticore. It's post-Manticore's destruction of Citadel. And this is from the inside of Manticore. I really liked it, but it does feel like you're watching a foreign film. It's filmed in French by French directors and all this other stuff. So you've got dubbed and subtitles and stuff like that. But I enjoyed it. It's a slow start, but it's good when you get into it. Ed says, wow, I haven't watched any of these 9 shows. Okay. Echo. Echo was a pretty good series. Echo feels like it's part of the Netflix shows. It had that feel to it. It's not great. It's good. It's a strong show. And you get Kingpin's return in it. You get the character of Echo, but it just lacked a little something, which kept it out of the top 10. But it is worth watching. Cross. I was so looking forward to Cross. Aldous Hodge is great. Isaiah Mustafa, who plays his best friend, was wonderful. And I know Isaiah Mustafa from being a wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks and from being the Old Spice guy. I'm on a horse. Look at me. Look at your hand. Look back at me. That guy is now doing serious acting and is in Cross, and he's great. It's a strong show, but there's a couple clinker moments in it. A couple moments you went, wait, why would he do that? And the villain in it is creepy as hell. There's 2 villains in it, actually. They're both creepy, and they're unrelated. But it's a good... If you like what they're doing with how they take, like, the Jack Ryan novels and turn them into a series, or The Night Agent, or Jack Reacher, stuff like that, Alex Cross. It's a little heavy-handed on some issues, but overall, I liked it. Hey, Kenneth. What If Season 3 is on here? What If Season 3... Paul, my old co-host on Pop Go the Writers, Paul Story, said that this season feels more like What the than What If. And I'll agree with him. These are really strange ones. The one I just watched last night was what if Howard the Duck married Darcy from Thor and they had an egg? What if the Red Guardian stopped the Winter Soldier, which was pretty fun? What if Agatha took over Hollywood, and that was one that tied into the Eternals and the Celestials? These are fun episodes, but they're not. The previous What Ifs seem to have more weight to them and more gravitas. These are much more, a little more on the silly side. So that's why they didn't quite get in the top 10. But they've been good so far, and I look forward to the rest of them. Creature Commandos. It only didn't get into the top 10 because it's not done. I'm really enjoying it. There's a lot of great work in it. Story is fun. The humor, the one-liners are great. There are some very vague references that I've been catching, like, did they really make that joke? So I'm really enjoying the Creature Commandos, but as Kenneth says, I think it's Kenneth, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Preston says, Creature Commandos might be worth your time. Think of it as Universal Monsters became the Suicide Squad. That's a good version of it. Yeah. Yeah, and which is what it was in the comics too. So, okay. The next two are kind of the same show. Dead Boy Detectives and Lockwood and Company are both about these young people dealing with the supernatural. And I will tell you that neither one of them are getting renewed. And they're both an entertaining series. Dead Boy Detectives was probably a little bit better, but I enjoyed both of them. I don't feel bad for having spent my time on them. And if you're looking for something just to, oh, hey, we got nothing to watch tonight, let's kill, they're both good shows. A lot of magic and stuff. Dead Boy Detectives is tied into the Sandman universe. Lockwood and Company is completely standalone. But they're both fun, but they're very similar. And finally, and it hurts me that this made honorable mention, because this has been one of my favorite shows for the last few years. And that's Only Murders in the Building. And I just feel like they spent a little too much meta time on this one, with it being Hollywood related and stuff like that. I felt that they could have spent more time on the actual mystery and solving it, and it just didn't click with me as well as the previous seasons have. Of course, they're going to do another season. Looking forward to it. But, already have a dead body. Yeah. If you live in the Arconia, by the way, you should move because people are dying like crazy. And it says, I'm finicky when it comes to the Universal Monsters. I love them so much. I don't know if I'd like them being in Suicide Squad. I never read them for that reason. Okay. Fair enough. All right, let's get to our top 10. JD, we may run long on this. I seem to be long-winded on this, so we don't. And with no Jen, we can run a little long, right, JD?
Sure.
Okay. The first one up is one I just found, and Lisa found this one. She came across it somewhere. Said we should watch it. We watched the first episode. It was bizarre. Watched the second episode because the first one was so bizarre. And by the third episode, I literally had to watch the whole thing in one night because I had to see how this was all going to come together. It's called Deadlock. It is an Australian comedy mystery. It is about a former police detective who got married and moved to a small town because she had bad things that happened previously and she went to save her marriage. That's the tall woman in the middle. The shorter one is a traveling detective or a detective from from the north that comes down to help solve the case. And this is one of the most bizarre shows I've ever watched in my life. The best way I describe it is, how did I describe it? Twin Peaks meets Hot Fuzz, something like that. I had a great quote like that on my Facebook page, but I forgot what it was. Anyway, 2-hour show. Yeah, this thing is twisted. You start off, the very first thing you see in the show is a fully naked man, tallywhacker and all, laying dead on the beach. And it just gets weirder and weirder from there. The show is woke and anti-woke at the same time. The killer is... I watch murder mysteries and I usually have them figured out pretty early on. And it's not because I'm a super detective, but it's because I'm a writer and I know all the writing tricks that you do to make when you get to the ending, people don't go, well, that doesn't make any sense. All the clues and stuff, I know what they are. This one didn't. I didn't know. It got to the end and it made perfect sense. But this was so bizarre that I did not know who the killer was and was just going, yeah, I see why, but wow. And it's already been renewed for a second season. That was it. It's Broadchurch and Hot Fuzz. If Broadchurch and Hot Fuzz had a weird Australian love child, that was my quote. Thank you, JD. That's what this is. And there's more coming. And Luke Hemsworth is going to be in the second season. So it's not Chris Hemsworth or Liam Hemsworth. It's that third guy. It's kind of like getting Daniel Baldwin. Like getting one of the other Baldwins that's not Alec Baldwin and not Stephen or Daniel. Billy. Yeah. You get it. All right. Let's move on to number 9. The Bear. Now, you guys know that I picked up cooking for the first time in my life back when the pandemic hit. I suddenly had to learn how to cook for my parents and my nephew and just took to watching cooking shows and all this other stuff. So to watch a show about chefs now compared to 5 years ago, I probably would have not cared about it 5 years ago. Now it's freaking brilliant. It's Eben Moss Bacharach. It's the guy from Shameless. It's who's going to be a Hutt, by the way, in Mandalorian and Grogu. It's just such a good show, and it's one of those that we binge. We absolutely binge. A new season comes out, and we watch all of it. But we only found it this year, so we've watched all 3 seasons this year. But it counts because season 3 is this year. This show is remarkably good. It really, really is. Just the way everybody interacts, the dialogue, and the cooking stuff is really good too. So, all right, let's go on to number 8, Skeleton Crew. I didn't know what I was going to think about this one. This is geared towards the people who grew up loving the Goonies and all those little kid adventure shows like The Last Navigator, stuff like that. But yeah, definitely the Goonies. And, and it's Jude Law. It's put together by the guy that does the new Spider-Man movies, John Watts. And it's got Jude Law, and I didn't know what to think of this. It felt like it was going to be a kids show movie, and it is. It is a kids show, but it's freaking brilliant. The new episode dropped yesterday. It is some of the best Star Wars that have been done in a long time. Now, I love The Mandalorian. Season 3 was like, okay, not as good. Ahsoka was all right. Andor is great, but that's not really Star Wars to me. This is probably, since season 1 of The Mandalorian, this is the best thing since season 1 of The Mandalorian. This feels like Star Wars. And Star Wars was originally made for kids too, but there's so many great little things, but it's such also an homage to the movies like The Goonies and stuff like that. And there's just one good reference after another. There's a big pirate thing going on. And Jude Law is playing this character that has like an infinite amount of names, and you don't know what to trust him or not trust him. Every time you get close to trusting him, he does something that throws it off. This is really good Star Wars. If you're not watching it, you should be, because it is good. All right. Next on my list is something a little different. Welcome to Wrexham. This is a documentary series that is made by a storyteller. What Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney have put together is a show that you never know what you're going to get. It's about a sports team, but you don't need to know or care about sports because you end up caring about the people. But it's not just the people on the team or the owners. You end up caring about everybody in the town of Wrexham because they highlight them. They highlight the individual fans, the shop owners, just the players, the coaches. This is a show about people and that you care about. And the fact that they're having success with the team, you're able to watch this and grow. But they don't have a specific plan. Oh, we're going to cover the show this much. We're going to cover the team and they'll go off on tangents. There was an episode where all they did was explain the country of Wales to people. There's an episode that's all about a particular disease that one of the players' children has. There's so much heart and excitement in this show that you get hooked because you know you're talking about real people with real emotions, real lives that all really just want this team to succeed. The people in the town live and breathe this team. The players want this team to succeed. And again, they're having success, which is the amazing part. Even now, when they're filming the 4th season, I'm following the team in just regular play. So I know how they're doing, but this has been such a remarkably good show. And again, it's like nothing else out there. Now they're going to try to duplicate it. They're going to do a Spanish language one based on a Spanish team that Ryan and Rob have gone in on with Eva Longoria. So, and she's going to be the host of that one. So they're going to try to do it again. But this one here it's absolutely brilliant. Okay, number 6 on the list. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, Season 2. The first season of this was slow, but I stayed with it. I found characters I could connect with, stuff like that. By the end of the first season, you see things that just totally fill in the backstory for Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. Like the creation of Mordor. Mordor wasn't always like that. It was created and how it was created. You get Sauron and Saruman and and Gandalf, and you get the early stages of all this stuff. And Elrond and Galadriel, and that's who we have on the front cover here of the picture. And there's some really great stuff between Elrond and the Prince of the Dwarves and stuff. And season 2, though, it's not like they slowed back down. Because season 1 started slow and then picked up. Season 2 just kept going strong. And we get the creation of the rings and who did them and how and all this other stuff. And it's just a really intense show. Really liked it. I think the season 2 is so much better than season 1. I look forward to season 3, but it really does feel like, and there's another show on this list too, that it's filling in the backstory. I almost feel like you should watch this and then go back and rewatch the Lord of the Rings movies because they feel like they're part of it. It's not like, oh yeah, well, these aren't Peter Jackson, so no. They feel like they're just filling in the gaps. And great stuff. I think they could pick it up just a little bit and maybe trim down a little bit. There's a lot going on and they could maybe edit a bit. But overall, I think it's really good and definitely in the top 10. All right, moving on to top 5. Dune Prophecy. First season just ended. Dune is one of those that you almost need to be a Star Wars political junkie to like, because there's so much of this is what George Lucas based Star Wars on. And then, but it's all the politics, the different houses fighting for power, and the emperor, and the spice trade, and the finances and stuff like that. So if you're somebody who enjoys that part of the news, this is definitely up your alley. If you don't want to know anything about economics and politics, then you're probably not going to be, you're going to find this to be slow. This is definitely, Star Wars is checkers to this being chess. But this show, again, first 2 episodes are a little slow. 3rd episode was awesome. And then the last 3 just moved along, and you get to the finale and you're like, I need season 2 now, please. No, now. Yes, I know you just approved it, but I need it now. I have to know what happens. So it's an intriguing story. Let's see. Ed says ROP is a great show. It's not canon to the books, as many purists love to point out, but neither was Jackson's movies, and they love them. It's a fun show. I love Tolkien's books. Yeah, they're actually pulling it. It's sort of canon in the sense that they're pulling it from the appendices. You know, they're writing the stories around the extra information. Plus, they got Tom Bombadil, and that was the big complaint about Jackson's movies. But Dune Prophecy is not based off of the books by Frank Herbert. They're inspired by the books by Brian Herbert and Kyle's favorite author, Kevin J. Anderson, of the Sisterhood of Dune and stuff like that. So this is new stuff if you've been reading the books, but it's also fills in and connects a lot of the dots. And the Desmond Hart character is a very interesting character. All right, we're into the top 4 with Agatha All Alone. This one was just fun. And the episode with Patti LuPone going out of sequence and stuff, that alone made this season great. That episode, when you see all the seeds that they had sown through the first episodes, when you get to that episode and you watch her put all of it connected together, it's why you hire Patti LuPone. Agatha was good. Thank you, Triple B. Yeah, it really was. I thought that in a lot of ways it was Marvel getting back on track with television. It was telling a story that we've never seen before, anything like it. And it felt like a true success for WandaVision because it kept certain themes in the same way that WandaVision did. Where WandaVision was doing old sitcoms, this show was doing movies about witches. And it did it really well. So absolutely adored this series. Above it, though, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I watched the first 2 Percy Jackson movies. I've read, I think, 3 of the books. I like the setup. I like the Greek myths. So this is kind of up my alley anyway. This kid, Walker Scoble, is so talented for his age. It's ridiculous. If he doesn't lose it because he has too much money and, spends it all on hookers and blow, this kid is going to be great. Plus, he's good friends already with Ryan Reynolds because of the Atom Project. So he's going to get more work. He was supposed to be in Deadpool and Wolverine, but he got too big to play Kidpool. Anyway, this show is really well done. It's better than the movies. The movies were fun. This is better. I think it needed that longer format. It needed the 8 episodes to really play it out instead of one movie to try to condense the book into. The cast is really well done. I look forward to the next season, even though they do have to replace Lance Reddick as Zeus. It's everything else about this is I'm looking forward to. It should be great. So, all right. Number 2 has been one of my favorite shows since its debut. Reacher, based off the novels by Lee Childs of Jack Reacher. Season 2 adapts book 11, and it's just great. Alan Richardson embodies this character, which is hilarious because it's so different than how Tom Cruise did it, but it feels like the books. I've read a bunch of these books. I've read this particular novel. I've also read the one that's the 3rd season is going to be based off of, which comes out in February. So we're going to see if this gets in the top 20, top 10 of next year. But this is pure action, fun, excitement. This is your force of nature type of character. This is the guy that, you don't have to worry about his feelings and his emotions. He's just going to kick people's ass. And you're going to root for it. Season 2 had a great supporting cast. We got to meet some of the people he used to work with. I liked season 2 a little better than season 1. There's some things they're doing to change from the novel. Like Frances Neely keeps popping up, even though she's not in the first book or the book that they took the first season from, nor the 3rd season, but she's going to be in all of them, and they're going to give her a spinoff series. But the things they're doing are fun. I love the cop from season 1 popping up in season 2. Great stuff. So, all right. Coming close to the end of the show. We're about 12 minutes over. Number 1, this is no surprise. Ed guessed it immediately. The Penguin. Why is this number 1? Is it because it's a good series? Partly. The reason it's number 1 is because it's way better than it ever should have been. This is Tony Soprano mobster show done in the Batman universe. This is Colin Farrell disappearing into a character to the point you forget it's him. This is creating a villain without letting him star in the show without trying to redeem him. Every time they got close to giving him a redeeming quality, they reminded you what an a-hole this guy is, even to the very end. This was absolutely brilliant writing. It feels like it's part of the Batman epic crime saga. It doesn't feel like, oh, well, this is the TV version. You know how like you watch the MCU and then we watch S.H.I.E.L.D. And even though they're supposed to be the same universe, or at the time they were, production quality was definitely different. You don't feel like this was not the same production quality. HBO, I think, spent whatever they needed to make this brilliant, to make this look good. The cast was great. I think Colin Farrell's up for a Golden Globe. Christine Milioti's up for a Golden Globe. The woman who played his mother is up for a Golden Globe. The kid should have been as well, by the way. The one who played young Penguin, or young Oswald. You get over the fact that they changed his last name, but you understand why. And they did change his origin a bit, too. He's not a socialite. He's a kid of the streets. And it makes more sense. The character they give you is a mobster. It is a mobster origin story. It's the origin story of a crime boss. And it is done incredibly well. It took all the things they learned from doing The Sopranos and turned it up to 11. So if you haven't watched this yet, you should. It really is the best show of the new year. And I know there'll be other people that other shows, and there's shows I didn't watch, I didn't get to, but this is my list. But I'm pretty confident that Penguin is the best show. Triple B says, I'm 3 episodes in. You can spoil it for me. I won't remember. Nope, no spoilers. Ed says, slam dunk on the Penguin. It's a great continuation of Batman. Makes me yearn for even more of the Batman sequel. Your top 2 are definitely my top 2, Dan. Well, very cool. Thank you, Ed. So that's my list. I'm not going to do a movie one because, A, next year is going to be a new year already. Or next time. But also, I didn't get to see that many movies. The couple that I saw, Deadpool was great. Dune Prophecy 2 was great. Madam Web was horrible. That's pretty much, I think, most of the movies I saw. But that's the list. I thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you've had a good year. I hope 2025 is better for everybody. I hope JD finally gets that bike he's been asking Santa for his entire life. I'm looking forward to the new year, guys. It's a pony and a pony. Yes, he wants a pony too. He wants to race the pony and the bike against each other to see who's faster. It's a YouTube thing he wants to do. But we'll start off next year talking about the things that we're looking forward to in 2025. If there's anything you're looking forward to, any movie or TV show, once the show's done, go to YouTube. Write it in the comments on YouTube, and we'll see about getting that included in the show. All right, guys. Remember, hit the like and subscribe. We're out of here. Have a great new year. See you after the first.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.